Hello people, so today I just want to make a quick video going over what I think you should be prepared to play against if you are going to the Final Fantasy TCG regionals. There are a few decks at the moment and cards that you need to be able to answer or at least expect, otherwise you are just going to likely get stomped. So without further ado, let's go through these cards quickly. So first of all, we've got Emperor Zand. Now, at first I thought this was only going to be in mono fire. It's not. Almost every deck that's running fire is running 3 of these at the minute because it's so damn good. This guy will wipe your board, and if you kill it, he'll kill something of yours. It's just annoying. It's really difficult to play against. So the best way to answer this, and I should have set this up before, but I didn't, so let's do that. Minwoo answers this really quite well. It stops the 5k from when he attacks, and if you are bigger than 9,000 power, then he won't be able to hurt you if you kill it. Chances of that happening are quite low, but still, it's an idea. Other cards. I had this all set up and then I broke it, so I apologise. Bahamut. If you Bahamut Emperor Zande, it removes him from the game and he doesn't get to use his 9,000 power or 9,000 damage nuke on one of your guys. Excuse the professionalism while I try and make this slightly bigger. There we go. That's better. Okay. So if you see a fire deck, expect to play against this guy. And since fire is everywhere right now, you will play against him. So you need an answer, and personally these two are the best 2 answers to him at the moment. Even then, Bahamut's the only answer. Minwoo, it's 50-50 whether it's going to work or not, depending on how big the stuff in your deck is. Good way to answer him actually, or at least slow them down, is with the 3, for Christ's sake, go in the right place, with Leviathan. If they're a 2-colour deck and they're playing Emperor Zand, there's every chance that they're having to discard multiple cards to play him because they're running 2 elements and you have to play only fire for Emperor Zand. By bouncing him back to their hand, that can really slow them down, and in fact it could make it so they don't ever actually get to play the Emperor Zand again, depending on what point of the game it is. But it's not an answer, it's a delay. Personally, I think your best bet is just to try and kill him and hope for the best. But either way, you practice against this card. You will come against this card if you're going to regionals. That's just without a doubt. Okay, next up, Golbez. Anyone who knows anything about this game knows that Golbez is retarded. Absolutely stupid. If you can manage to kill him, he'll swarm your board. Just, you need to know how to play against Golbez, and then when to break him. How to follow up breaking Golbez without losing the game due to the swarm that has landed on the board. Again, Bahamut does the job here. Removing from the game is a lot better than having to deal with his crap. Minwoo is good for afterwards, after Golbez has been broken, because their stuff usually isn't as big as your stuff because it's smaller. So Minwoo allows you to answer it. And again, Leviathan. Golbez decks tend to go all in on their plan, and if you can bounce either the deleter that they use to sacrifice their Golbez, or even their own Golbez if they dump their hand in an attempt to play Golbez, and you bounce him, that can stop them. Now, if you do this in the early game, this can slow them down for like 3 or 4 turns, and that's what you need. You need to try and outpace the Golbez deck and just keep ahead of him, because otherwise there's a good chance you're going to get run over. So far we've discussed mono fire that's going to be everywhere, or mono fire and fire ice, and Golbez. And these three cards down here are fairly good answers to them all. Another answer to Emperor Xande before I forget, and I did have this one written down and I forgot it, is Aerith. Go in the right spot. Aerith can counter either the 5,000 damage when he attacks or the 9,000 damage when he dies. But it's not likely, but it's good to keep in mind that you can Aerith those abilities and survive. Which is obviously amazing, because that's I mean, it's difficult to pull off consistently because they're always going to be running 3 Emperor Xands. That's just how it seems to be. Okay, so anyway, next card you need to know how to deal with, Fusoya. Outside of Hecaton, there's no real way to deal with this card other than Hecaton and Minwo. I was going to put Larsa on this list, but Larsa just dies to Fusoya, and then that's it. You're back to square one. This card, it's a removal dream. It will consistently remove your stuff and you won't be able to do much about it. I've seen this in almost every deck that isn't running dark cards because it is so ridiculously strong. It's a good thing to keep in mind, like buffing your guys using Duke Larg or Maria or things like that, things that give you permanent buffs are so useful because 7,000 damage is now easily available to almost every single deck. Just keep this card in mind. You will have a bad time if you come against it and you're not ready. And last card I wanted to go over that you need to be able to deal with is the Emperor. If you don't have a removal card, things like, oh, I don't know, Aerith, completely dead, cannot do anything. Same as Fusoya. Strangely enough, Emperor comes down and targets Fusoya, turns off Fusoya, you're in for a good time. Because you can't actually... these two cards work really well against each other, but the bigger problem you're going to have is that Emperor dies. Like, if you're using Emperor to counter Fusoya, Emperor will die to something else. It will get Odin'd, it will get Bahamut'd, it will eat some form of removal. That's just how it is. And Fusoya will be back to doing what it wants to do. But you need to be able to, either way, you need to be able to answer this card. If you can't answer this card, it's going to turn off half the cards in your deck. Oh god, it's so frustrating to play against. So as a lightning player, if I see my opponents playing dark cards, I keep an Odin in my hand because I want this thing to die. Okay, so this is my third attempt at recording this, and I'm actually going to leave it there because every other one has been at least half an hour long. And that's just too much. So thank you very much for watching. I hope that anyone watching this keeps in mind that these 4 cards, there are others, but these are the 4 that stand out to me as cards that you need to be able to deal with, and by extension the decks that they are going to be in. But bear in mind, Emperor Xande is likely going to be in over half the decks that you play against at regionals. Fire is everywhere right now. Mono Fire, Fire Ice, Fire Water's becoming a thing as well. So yeah, just learn how to deal with these cards and hopefully you'll have a better time and you don't get taken off guard. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you next time.